Do you struggle to maintain the protein moisture balance? Do you always seem to be going from one extreme to the other? Are you just new to the curly world and are just confused about all things protein and moisture balance? If this sounds like you, then just keep watching. Welcome back or welcome to my channel. I'm Michelle. So protein moisture is something that gets talked about an awful lot in the curly community. You might have heard a lot about it. You might have seen lots of videos about it. In fact, Mains by Mel has done a wonderful video about protein versus moisture, as well as one about high growth fatigue. I'm gonna go ahead and leave those videos down below because this ain't that kind of video. This video is about taking that detailed information and showing you how to apply it to your hair care routines in a simplified manner so that you can stay balanced, or at least your hair can. So if you haven't seen her videos, or if you're part of the new and confused crowd, I will give a brief overview of protein versus moisture, why you need both, and what having too much of either looks like. I will also touch a little bit on high growth fatigue and protein sensitivity. Then I will give a simplified guide on keeping your hair in balance. So let's start with protein. Protein gives your hair strength and structure, which is needed to help your hair retain the moisture. Hair is made of keratin, which is a protein. Therefore, all hair needs protein. So what does too much protein look like? Well, it'll look dry. It'll feel a little bit brittle. It's gonna probably be a bit stringy. You're gonna have some frizz, and it could even start breaking. So what if you're protein sensitive, you ask? Well, here's the thing about protein sensitivity. It's not really a thing. Why do you say it's not a thing? Because hair is protein. And like I said earlier, all hair needs protein and it needs that strength and structure in order to retain moisture. Also, your hair is dead. It cannot be sensitive to things in the way that your skin can because your skin is living tissue. So an analogy is your wood furniture. Your wood furniture is not living tissue, it is dead. However, there are things that you can do to it that will damage it and things that you can do to it that will condition and protect it. Your hair is very similar to that in that it is dead, it cannot be sensitive. However, the things that you do to it can either damage it or they can help condition and protect it. So my issue with protein sensitivity is that it tends to cause people to avoid protein like the plague, and they will keep avoiding protein like the plague because they think that their hair simply does not need it or doesn't react well to it and is never going to react well to it. So the problem with that is that your hair's condition can change over time and does change over time and can actually change on a daily basis depending on what you're putting on your hair. If you're putting something on your hair that is protein, you put moisture on it and it balances it. You put something with moisture, you put protein and it balances it. Your hair is constantly changing. So to treat it as if it's static and the same all the time and not adapting to its constant changes and its constant needs, you're not going to have balance in your hair. Now that we've discussed protein, let's discuss moisture. Moisture keeps your hair soft, supple, and manageable. And just like the rest of your body is mostly water, your hair is also mostly water. Therefore, you need to maintain the moisture, i.e. water, in your hair. That being said, there is a such thing as too much moisture. So what does it look like when you have too much moisture in your hair? Your curl pattern gets a little bit looser, kind of blown out, fuzzy, fluffy, or it could also be limp and just kind of hang there. You'll lose definition, and your hair will feel when it's wet. It'll feel too soft when it's dry. It'll feel too soft and kind of mushy when it's wet. Like it's hard to describe, but it's like, you know it when you feel it. It feels kind of mushy. Something that can happen if your hair continues to get over moisturized is high growth fatigue. Now, high growth fatigue is where you have so much moisture in your hair that your hair strand swells, the cuticle lifts, and now it cannot contain that moisture in there anymore. So it's all going to come right back out of your hair. So over time, what's going to happen is your hair is going to start feeling drier and drier and drier because none of the moisture can stay within your hair. The problem with this is what happens when you start to feel that your hair is dry. What do? You put more moisture in it, which only exacerbates the problem and makes your hair feel drier and more damaged. And then you guessed it, you keep trying to treat it with more moisture. When your hair gets to this point, pretty much the only thing that you can do to fix hygrofatigue is to cut that damage off. So one of the most common problems that I have seen is that people tend to overreact. This is the reason why people tend to go back and forth from one extreme to the other and not be able to maintain that proper moisture protein balance. For example, say you have too much protein in your hair and you're like, okay, I need moisture. So you throw all the moisture things at your hair and you throw too much in there, and now you're ODing on moisture. And so then you go the other way and it keeps going back and forth, and you never achieve balance. Sometimes too much of a good thing is not a better thing. It's just too much. So how do you stop the bouncing back and forth? Funny you should ask, because that is the subject of today's video. If you follow my next 4 steps, you'll be able to achieve balance. So your first step is to assess. So assess your hair at the start of your wash day. Take a look at what it needs. What is it feeling like? Does it feel a little bit dry? Does it feel a little bit brittle? Is it kind of stringy? Is it in the opposite direction? Does it feel too soft? Are you losing your curl pattern? Is it looking limp? Determine which direction it's going, protein versus moisture, and then choose your first product, your shampoo, accordingly. If it's feeling really super dry, definitely choose a more moisturizing shampoo. If it's feeling more moisturizing, you can definitely use something that is containing protein or doesn't contain protein or moisture and just cleanses your hair, and that's it. So then the next step, you're going to, after your wash, you're going to choose your conditioner based on how your hair feels after you've washed it. Does it still feel really dry? Use something more moisturizing. Does it feel like it's got a little too moistured because you used a really, really moisturizing, gentle cleansing shampoo? Then you might want to use something that's got a little bit more protein to balance it out. So after you've washed and you've conditioned, now you're moving on to the things that you are going to leave in your hair. So hopefully at this point your hair is feeling pretty balanced, and if you use one or the other and pay attention to your hair, it should be. So now that it's balanced, you're going to go ahead and put in probably your leave-in of some sort. So a leave-in conditioner. I like to use one that has a good amount of both protein and moisture. That is by gude. It's the Whipped Curls Conditioner Primer thing. I can't remember the name of it, but I'll have it linked below. I like to use that one because I find that it has both of what I need, and it keeps my hair that's been balanced after my washing and conditioning in balance, and it stays there. Then that way I can choose my styling products as I move down the line according to the definition that I need, and then the hold that I need, and whether or not they have protein or moisture and what my hair is feeling like it needs. Choose the stylers based on how you want your hair to look. And then just make sure that they work well with each other to keep your hair in balance. So don't choose, if you like to use two stylers, for instance, like a cream and a gel, just make sure that both don't have a whole lot of protein if you're already in balance, because now you're going to start to inch closer to having too much protein in your hair. So now you're going to want to finish and seal your hair. An oil is typically pretty good for this. Usually a drop or 2 is all you need. Just emulsify it in your hands to make sure that you can evenly distribute it throughout your hair. And then that oil is going to help seal your hair shaft, seal the cuticle, so that all of the moisture and all of the protein that you just put in there can stay there. So something that I would definitely recommend is to not plan out your entire wash day. And what I mean by that is, don't plan a whole wash day of just moisturizing products. Don't plan out a whole wash day of just protein products. That's how you wind up going from one extreme to another. Pay attention to your hair after each product that you use and make your small adjustments and small corrections as necessary, going back and forth if that works for you, or doing protein in a row, then balancing out with moisture if that works for you, or vice versa. Pay attention to what your hair keeps telling you. Don't just plan out a whole day of one or the other. Give your hair what it needs. Adapt to your hair's needs. The other thing that I would recommend to you is don't overthink it. Hair should just not be this complicated, and it isn't. Just listen to your hair and give it what it's asking for. I would also recommend that you leave more serious moisture or protein treatments that are used by professionals for specific reasons to the professionals. So using a treatment created for a professional for use in the salon can lead to damage. Stylists get trained for how to use these products to make sure that they don't damage the client's hair. And oftentimes these products were designed to work with a color service, usually using a very high volume of developer. Using this on your hair, if you don't have any type of damage and don't need this type of product, can cause you to have a protein overload, or it can cause hydro fatigue. There is a YouTuber on here, Swavy Curly Courtney, who actually posted a video about this. She used a treatment that is meant to be used in professional salons in conjunction with color services, and she had to cut off 4 inches of her hair, I believe she said, in order to get rid of all the damage that was caused by using this product. So if you want to check that out and see what she has to say about that, I will leave the link below. This has nothing to do with like calling her out or shaming or blaming her. I'm simply just adding her video as a reference for you to go and check out so that you don't make the same mistake she did. And I believe that that was the whole point in her putting that video out there, is that she wanted to make sure that nobody else suffered from the same thing that she did, and that they wouldn't have to lose length because of making this sort of mistake. Another thing that I would recommend, don't sleep in hair treatments. Be sure that you follow the directions as they are written on the packaging. And the reason why is because if you were to put a highly moisturizing mask on your hair overnight when it's not meant to be left on your hair overnight, all of that moisture in the treatment combined with the water in your hair from putting it on wet hair and sleeping with it overnight can lead your hair to develop hydro fatigue, and you certainly don't want that. Same goes for protein. You can cause too much protein. Again, I say more is not necessarily better, it's just more. Now that we've reached the end of my tips and recommendations, if you follow my guide, you will be able to keep your hair in balance and stop going from one extreme to the other. To recap, assess at every step, slightly correct, pay attention to the changes in your hair along the way, don't overthink or overreact, and leave intensive professional treatments to the professionals. If you found this video helpful, make sure that you hit that like button, subscribe for more content like this. I will be uploading every Monday and Wednesday, so be sure to hit that notification bell so that you don't miss anything. Also, be sure to comment down below, give me some feedback, let me know if there's anything specific that you'd like to see, ask me questions, or just say hi. Thanks for watching. Bye.